Have you ever noticed that your emotions might be controlling your life and your decisions, and that by giving in to them, you may not be fully being yourself? I had an experience like this recently. This week I was on my way to the gym and I had gotten all ready for this class that I like to go to. I was in my gym clothes, I was in my car ready to go. But the problem is I had overestimated the time, and so I was going to be pretty late for the class if I showed up. So the thought occurred to me, what if you just wait like 20 minutes and go do something else and then show up at the gym? The reason being is that I felt like if I walked into the gym and the instructor saw me, who knows me because I frequent that class, they would wonder why I chose to go to the gym at that time but not show up to their class. Like why I chose just to go work out instead of to attend their class. So the main thing that was coming up for me was embarrassment, which is why I even had that thought. I thought by walking in a little bit later, I could avoid the instructor, go in undetected, and therefore avoid embarrassment. Well, this was a pattern of the old me. I used to frequently get embarrassed about all sorts of things, and I would let that embarrassment control how I showed up. And this could apply to all different situations. So I would say embarrassment is a theme that had played out over my life in different ways, showing up in different ways. So in this particular scenario, I recognized the thoughts I was having and I knew I wasn't going to act on them. They were just thoughts that were showing up, reminding me of an old pattern, an old way of thinking, giving me an option to choose that or not. So the thing was, I was all ready for the gym. Why in the world would I go anywhere else but the gym at this point in time? So I chose to head on over to the gym like I was ready to do anyways. And my thought process was, if I can get into the class late, great. That would be awesome. That would be ideal. And if I can't, if it's too late, then I'm just gonna go work out on my own. And either way, I'm not gonna be embarrassed. I will not be embarrassed at all by walking into the gym, even if it's at the same time that that class is occurring. And that thought process is a lot more liberating than feeling like I have to go around in life avoiding someone or avoiding a situation. And that's something that an older version of me would have done, a past version of me would have maybe done or thought about. It's not like I lived my whole life that way, but I did not like to feel embarrassment. I mean, who does? Let's get real. But the difference is that at this point in time, I've addressed a lot of these situations and overcome them. But I'm glad this scenario popped up because it gave me an opportunity to really look at my thoughts and examine the situation and my beliefs and why I would even have that thought to begin with. So really where I conquered a lot of this fear of embarrassment was when I would go to cafes. I'd order a coffee or some sort of drink like that, and then there'd be this period where I was waiting for my order. So I'd go sit down and I'd wait, and there was a period of time where I really realized that, wow, I'm not able to relax. I'm sitting here like by myself waiting for my coffee order, and I'm feeling self-conscious, I'm feeling uncomfortable, I'm feeling like everybody's looking at me, noticing me, and when you're embarrassed like that, you start to feel like hot in your body. And so one day I was just like, enough. I don't need to feel this anymore. It's not serving me, it's not valuable, and it's not a needed part of my experience. And most importantly, above all, is it doesn't feel good to feel this, and I don't need to feel this. So I started practicing not worrying about what other people think, just standing there, sitting there, waiting for my drink order, and being confident in myself and just like whatever, not worrying about it. And so eventually, it didn't take very long, then it no longer bothered me anymore, and I wasn't embarrassed, and I'm still not embarrassed. I did that just this week, and I wasn't embarrassed even 1% of the time. So the thing that I realized is that when we examine our thoughts and we question them and we question the feeling we're experiencing and why we would even be experiencing that, because who says you have to be embarrassed waiting for your drink? Like, let me tell you, life feels so much better when you're not embarrassed waiting for your drink. So I've experienced both. And this is just one micro lesson that I think can be applied to a lot of different things in life is like if we're experiencing this uncomfortable emotion, we can question the uncomfortable emotion and not let it dominate us anymore. And as somebody who used to be embarrassed and then made a decision not to be embarrassed, I'm letting you know that you can do this too. It doesn't have to be with embarrassment. It can be with any emotion that you choose that you feel like is constantly showing up in your life. Because if I could do it, you could do it too. There was nothing more special about my situation. It was just a choice that arose within me. And I looked around and I thought to myself, why should I go through life feeling this way? I don't need to. And I didn't need to. If I look back on all those past experiences of embarrassment, I didn't need to be embarrassed in those situations because I'm in the same situations now and I am not embarrassed. Therefore, the conclusion that we can draw is there was really no need to be embarrassed to begin with. But sometimes it's just a process you have to go through to figure that out for yourself. One thing I began to do was let the old thoughts go, the thoughts of embarrassment and why I should feel uncomfortable go, and I began to replace them with new thoughts. Like, I have a right to be here. I have a right to feel comfortable and confident. I don't need to feel anything other than confidence. And this isn't to say we'll never feel embarrassed again or that we're not going to experience certain emotions in our life. It's natural and normal to experience a variety of emotions. But the difference is when we notice that there's a dominant emotion raining down on us, and that seems to be a theme in our life or controlling different actions and decisions that we make, it is time to look at it and to address it. A lot of times it's our own beliefs and how they're being filtered through our life. So what is ironic here is that when we feel uncomfortable emotions, like me with embarrassment, a lot of times what we do is we try to avoid it. And that works in the moment. It works temporarily. Temporarily, we can dodge that bullet. Something comes up that makes us uncomfortable, and we know how to get out of it. We know how to make a different choice so we don't have to face it. Trust me, I know that well too. And this could be things like embarrassment, fear, wanting people to like us, people pleasing. These are all very common things. But the thing about this is that when we fail to lean into the uncomfortable emotions, although we dodge the bullet in the moment, these same themes, because they're energetic patterns, so these same themes keep showing up. We escaped it that day, but guess what? Next month, we find ourselves in a similar scenario. It could be with a different person. It could be in a different location. Whatever, that part doesn't matter. But the energetics of it will keep coming back around until we address it. Because whatever is out of order in our lives, whatever's spinning off its axis, going the wrong way, it should be spinning this way, needs to be addressed. We cannot escape it by avoiding it. We never will. We think we do in the moment, but we don't actually escape it. By avoiding it, by tuning it out, by ignoring it, we're actually giving that energy an invitation to come back. Come back next month. Come back in 3 weeks. Come back whenever. Tomorrow. But it's going to come back. So how do we get out of this situation? Well, first, don't think of it in those terms. Like, we're not trying to escape anything. What we are trying to do is kind of the opposite. It's more of this loving approach where we need to integrate this into our lives. Emotions are messengers and they come up to give us a message. The feeling that you don't like, there's a message hiding behind it. When we address the emotions and embrace the emotions, they typically end up going away. The energy that was out of balance has been corrected once we lean into the discomfort. And often we only have to lean into the uncomfortable feeling for about 45 seconds to a little over a minute before we start to notice that it's resolving. And that's not very long. Think about it this way. We can spend 5, 10, 20 years, a lifetime trying to dodge and avoid the same emotions that keep showing up and keep coming back around. Or we can spend 1 minute leaning into the feeling the discomfort as fully as we can, because it begins to integrate and neutralize. A lot of times it's a feeling that has never been fully felt because we keep running from it, that keeps coming back. It keeps coming back because we are afraid to feel it. We're afraid to be with it. We're afraid to hold space for it. We're afraid to give it a hug and integrate it and to get to know it. So what I recommend doing is leaning into the discomfort. The next time that embarrassment comes up, or a fear comes up, or some emotion that you don't like, sit with the emotion. Don't just feel it, but lean into the feeling. Feel it as fully as you can, because what you'll find is that when you do that, it immediately starts to lose intensity, and a lot of times it goes away completely. And sometimes there's layers to this. So sometimes it's not as simple as just, oh, I felt this emotion one time and now it's gone forever. Sometimes there's layers that we need to feel into until it's fully gone. But I can tell you from my personal experience, a lot of times when I feel into the emotion, it just goes away and I can stop repeating that pattern. And one major takeaway from this is that we are in control of our lives. The emotions are not in control of our lives. Do you want to spend your life being controlled by fear, embarrassment, uncomfortable emotions, having to be liked, people pleasing, where all of your actions are fueled by avoiding an uncomfortable emotion, trying to dodge it, trying to escape it? I don't know about you, but I don't want to live my life like that. Because in the end, you'll have lived a life that was not fully yours, a life that was driven by fear, a life that was driven by embarrassment, a life that was driven by some other emotion, anger, you name it, where all your decisions, actions, and behaviors were controlled by an emotion, where you made choices and took actions to avoid feeling uncomfortable, because that is not in alignment. That is not in integrity. That is not being your authentic self. And we all know that when we are our authentic selves, that is what truly feels good. That always feels right. It always feels right to be in alignment and to be in our authenticity. Even when we're facing difficult situations or decisions, the only way we can truly feel good about ourselves is if we are in our authenticity, if we are being authentic. Because if you avoid an uncomfortable situation, you dodge that conversation or whatever it is, but you feel out of integrity, out of alignment, that will affect you a lot more than having to make some sort of minor uncomfortable decision in the moment, but where you know you're in integrity and where you know you're in your authenticity. And when we try to avoid emotions, we can end up becoming numb to life because we're trying to avoid this, that, and the other, and eventually it adds up. So how do we address these emotions? By leaning into them, by feeling them, by facing them. And a lot of times we don't want to do this. We do not want to feel into the difficult emotion, and I don't blame you. It can feel scary, at least at first. But I can tell you from experience that the more that we start doing this, the more comfortable we get feeling the emotion fully when we experience it, the easier it becomes and the more natural it begins to feel. And then when you start to see the results, that the emotion clears up and you instantly start to feel things like joy and excitement in the place of fear, worry, embarrassment, you will be excited and look forward to leaning into these emotions more and more. And my final thoughts are that we do not want to live our life as a false version of ourselves, where our thoughts, our behaviors, the things we say and do are influenced or controlled by trying to avoid or escape an emotion. When we do this, we are not being our authentic selves, and that will take a toll on us. Because that is not freedom. That is being trapped in a cage, and we want to get out of the cage. And the good news is that the doors can open for us at any point in time. So I will leave you today with a final question to ponder. Are there any themes in your life that you feel like are showing up over and over again as if on repeat? If so, what are they? I'd love if you share them in the comments. That's it for now. I will see you in the next video.